2 weeks before my wedding, I woke up to a calendar reminder that read final dress fitting. I smiled, scrolling through photos of Mark, my fiancé, and me on our engagement trip to Santorini. My phone buzzed, a text from him. "We need to talk." 3 words that froze my heart mid-beat. By the time I reached his apartment, the wedding planner had already confirmed the florist and the guest list had gone to print. Mark sat on the couch, hands clasped, eyes heavy. "Clara," he began, "I can't do this." The air left my lungs. I thought it was pre-wedding nerves. But then he said the words that shattered everything: "I'm in love with someone else." The next morning, my mother found me sitting on the bedroom floor, veil spread across my knees, untouched. I didn't cry. I just stared at the dress that would never see sunlight. My phone was flooded with messages, friends, family, colleagues, but I couldn't respond. The man I'd spent 5 years loving had traded a lifetime of promises for someone he met at his gym. Her name was Melissa. I stopped showing up to work. My firm, the marketing startup I'd built from scratch, had been my pride. But grief paralyzed me. Days blurred into nights. Wine bottles replaced breakfast. It took my business partner, Ryan, dragging me out of bed to remind me that I had something left to fight for. "Clara," he said, "you built this. Don't let a man destroy what you created." I threw myself into work. My pain became fuel. I expanded the company, rebranded, and landed 2 major clients in 6 months. Mark had vanished from my life completely. But every time I walked into my office, I thought about the woman who replaced me. Was she happy? Did she know what kind of man she married? On the day I was supposed to say "I do," I sat in my office signing a contract with a luxury brand. The irony wasn't lost on me. Instead of walking down an aisle, I walked into a boardroom. I wore the perfume I'd bought for my wedding day, not as a bride, but as a CEO. 1 year later, Evans & Company became one of the fastest-growing firms in the city. I was named Woman of the Year in Business Daily. My story became one of resilience, though no one knew what fueled it. I didn't speak Mark's name. He was a ghost I'd buried under late nights and boardroom victories. 3 years after the breakup, Ryan dropped a stack of resumes on my desk. "We're hiring 2 new PR associates," he said. I flipped through them absent-mindedly, until my fingers froze on a name. Melissa Carter. Her photo stared back at me. The same woman Mark had left me for. My pulse thundered. Ryan handled the first round of interviews. But when he asked if I wanted to sit in on the final shortlist, I said yes. Melissa walked in wearing a crisp white blouse, clutching her portfolio. She didn't recognize me at first. I'd changed, sharper haircut, colder eyes. "Ms. Evans," she said, extending a hand. I smiled. "Please, sit down." As she spoke about her passion for storytelling and commitment to brand integrity, I noticed the small diamond band on her finger. The same ring Mark had once proposed to me with, resized, perhaps. When she finished, I said calmly, "We'll be in touch." She smiled. "Thank you, Ms. Evans. My husband always spoke highly of your company." I dearly laughed. Ryan later asked if I wanted to reject her application. But something inside me stirred. "No," I said. "Hire her." It wasn't revenge. Not yet. It was curiosity. I wanted to see how far she'd come, and how much she'd really taken from me. Melissa started the following Monday. I watched from my glass office as she nervously greeted the team. She was polite, eager, and admittedly good at her job. But what she didn't know was that her boss was the woman whose life she'd helped destroy. Her voice, her perfume, they pulled me back into memories I didn't want. But something else happened too. I realized how much I'd changed. I wasn't the broken woman from 3 years ago. I was her boss. At lunch one day, Melissa mentioned her husband casually. "Mark just started consulting for a tech firm downtown," she said. The name hung in the air like poison. I sipped my coffee, forcing a neutral smile. "That's great," I replied. "I hope he's doing well." She nodded. "We've had our ups and downs, but he's a good man." I almost pitied her. A month later, my company hosted its annual gala. Melissa volunteered to help coordinate. That night, she approached me nervously. "Ms. Evans, my husband wanted to stop by to congratulate you, if that's okay?" I nodded slowly. "Of course." Mark walked in. Older, heavier, but unmistakably the same. His eyes widened when he saw me. Clara, he breathed. Melissa smiled between us. You two know each other. I tilted my head. We were engaged. Once. The color drained from her face. The room spun with whispers. Mark stammered. Clara, I didn't know she worked here. I cut him off. She's one of my best employees. You should be proud. I left them standing there, the silence choking them both. The next day, Melissa didn't show up. I expected her resignation, but she returned 2 days later, pale, quiet, professional. We never mentioned it again. But something in her had changed. The sparkle was gone. She did her work mechanically, eyes distant. One evening, I found her in the office late. She looked up, tears in her eyes. He cheated, she whispered. With his coworker. I didn't know what to say. I used to think I won, she said bitterly. But maybe we both lost. In that moment, I saw her not as the woman who replaced me, but as another casualty of the same man's ego. I realized the sweetest revenge wasn't watching her suffer, it was knowing I'd built a life without him. I gave Melissa a promotion. Not out of pity, but respect. She worked hard and deserved it. People whispered, but I didn't care. Forgiveness was freedom, and I was done being chained to the past. Weeks later, Mark emailed me. I made mistakes. You were always the one who believed in me. Maybe we could catch up. I typed my response carefully. Mark, thank you for the reminder. I don't look back anymore. And hit send. That night, I stood on the balcony of my penthouse, city lights glowing beneath me. I thought about the girl who once begged for answers and the woman who no longer needed them. The pain had forged me into something indestructible. A year later, Evans & Company expanded internationally. We opened an office in Paris. Melissa became the head of PR for Europe. I saw her smile again, lighter, freer. Sometimes we shared coffee breaks and talked about life, not men. One afternoon, a resume crossed my desk. Mark Carter, business consultant. I stared at it for a long time before sliding it into the shredder. No explanation. No satisfaction. Just silence. Because power doesn't scream, it smiles. Years later, I stood at an awards gala, accepting Entrepreneur of the Year. Cameras flashed as I said, sometimes life breaks you to rebuild you stronger. I glanced at the audience, faces blurred in the glow. Somewhere out there, maybe Mark watched, maybe not. It didn't matter. Because I wasn't the woman who was left 2 weeks before her wedding. I was Clara Evans, CEO, survivor, and proof that heartbreak can build empires.